2017 BMW 330e. For years, car makers have seemed to be stuck in the same cycle of producing slightly better iterations of cars that came before. Lighter, bigger, faster and more efficient, but the recipe stays the same. An internal combustion engine burns fuel to propel the crankshaft, spinning a transmission that sends power to the road. Its hybrids aside, the car as a piece of technology has stayed stagnant for over a century. We've long looked at electric vehicles as the true car of the future. One that you plug into your home just like a smartphone and produces zero emissions. Just like your smartphone, however, an X battery life is unpredictable, and when you do deplete it, it takes ages to charge it back up again. Fine if you're just browsing Facebook. Not so fine if you're on your way to Penang and the low battery warning just came on. Indeed, most industry observers now see plug-in hybrids as a perfect solution, at least in the short term. With a more powerful electric motor and a bigger battery compared to a conventional hybrid, it provides all of the benefits of an electric car. But the presence of a regular engine means that it does away with the usual issues of range anxiety, long charge time and steep pricing. Premium car makers have been the biggest investors in these vehicles, and Malaysians have been a strange beneficiary thanks to energy-efficient vehicle (EV) rebates. With cars like the Volvo XC90 V8 twin-engine and BMW X5 xDrive 40e. But the new BMW 330 will be the real litmus test for this technology, with its price putting it firmly within the grasp of the entry-level premium car buyer. So, could this car really be a good fit for the typical 3 Series buyer? We take it for a spin on local roads and conditions to find out. The 330e is also significantly less expensive than its closest rival, the Mercedes-Benz C350e. Stuttgart's own take on the plug-in hybrid sports sedan recipe is priced between Rem 288,888 and RM 298,888. However, the BMW doesn't come with quite the level of cut offered on the Mercedes, which we'll come to later. Locally, the car is spec'd in sport trim, losing out on the 330 ISM Sport package. Whether that's a good thing or not depends on which look you prefer best. Although most image-conscious Malaysians would probably view it as the latter. I, however, do like the more subtle look that this car has, with the sharp front end and well-balanced proportions. There's a reserved athleticism about it, but it's never to show the attractive full LED head, and tail lights are standard across the range. But the 18-inch style 658V spoke alloy wheels mark the 330e out as the top spec model. What it doesn't get is the i-Performance styling package that adds blue highlights to the grille and wheel badges. For the more conservative Malaysian market, that's probably a good thing. Also missing is the BMW I-front fender badging found on other markets, although the xDrive badges on the C-pillars remain. The charging port is on the left front fender. Inside, it's standard F33 series fare, with a no-frills, driver-oriented design that hides some questionable materials and trim choices, especially compared to the outstanding interiors of the C-Class and the recently launched Audi A4. Still, it feels fairly well built for the most part, and has a clarity and simple logic to its switchgear layout and instrumentation that the others still have yet to master. As is the case with the regular F30, the 330 exhibits impressive packaging, with plenty of head and legroom to spare despite being smaller than the C-Class and A4. What has been compromised by the new age powertrain is boot space, which has dropped from 480 liters to 370 liters. As befits a range-topping model, the 330e comes with such niceties as comfort access, keyless entry complete with hands-free boot opening, the full BMW professional navigation system with an 8.8-inch widescreen display and hand-driving recognition and color head-up display. There's also a sunroof and an electric rear windscreen blind, both of which are new to the local 3 Series range, and the reverse camera is finally standard and factory-fitted, instead of being a dealer-fitted option. However, the C350e goes one better with items like a 13-speaker Burmester surround sound system, triple-zone climate control and air suspension, along with autonomous emergency braking. Connectivity features include the Connect services and apps, including the Cool Concierge service that will even send directions directly to the navigation system. Owners can also be connected to the car through the BMW Connected app for Android and iOS, which can be used to monitor vehicle information and battery charge level, as well as to remotely activate the locks, lights, horn and climate control system. Drivers can choose between 3 dedicated xDrive powertrain settings in addition to BMW's usual Eco Pro, Comfort, Sport and Sport Plus driving modes. The first is the default Auto xDrive mode, which, as the name suggests, automatically manages the 2 power sources depending on driving conditions and the battery level, and optimizes the use of both. Put it in max xDrive and the 330e effectively becomes a full electric vehicle, only engaging the petrol engine once the throttle's kick-down switch is activated, at which point it switches back to Auto xDrive to provide maximum thrust. Save battery keeps the car solely on petrol power to conserve range, except at very low revs, as the electric motor replaces the gearbox's torque converter, and will also charge the battery up. The car starts up in Auto xDrive and in Comfort mode, and it's in this setup that the 330e feels the most futuristic. leaning heavily on the electric motor in most situations. Even under moderate acceleration, the car will go all the way up to 80 km/h on electric power alone, above which the petrol engine, being more efficient at these speeds, takes over propulsion duties. It takes a determined stab on the throttle to force the four-pot into play, but it's not the cleanest of transitions. Although the engine spins into life smoothly and instantly, the extra power doesn't actually kick in until 1 or 2 seconds later, signaled by a sudden shove in the back as the 330e develops a second wind. It's much more seamless than Sport mode, in which the engine is up and running nearly all of the time, only remaining in F mode at very low speeds. Floor and the electric motor provides an instant surge, augmenting the already muscular petrol melt. In the right conditions, the 330 will fling itself towards the horizon at a considerable clip, and it doesn't feel too far off the more powerful 330i in terms of outright pace. This impressive performance is regularly felt even in max F drive, assuming, of course, you keep the battery charged. In full F mode, the car will happily keep up with the cut and thrust of everyday traffic, and will ably hum along at highway speeds, although the battery will be drained surprisingly quickly at triple-figure speeds. The smoothness is repeated in the powertrain, especially in full electric mode. Virtually everyone who sits in the car raves about the lack of vibration and the instant manner in which the 330e picks up pace from standstill. And even with the engine on, there's little harshness to be felt. Yes, you can hear it, augmented to sound a bit like the Boxer, as with the 330i, but it's still very much muted, even under hard acceleration. Of course, with little noise coming from under the bonnet. The lack of refinement that is apparent on every F33 series is made even more stark here. Even at moderate highway speeds there's more than a rustle of wind noise, but all that gets drowned out by the sheer amount of tire noise. It's so loud, in fact, that it's borderline uncomfortable even at a cruise, and is simply unforgivable for a premium car. But there's just something about the way every F30 drives that feels just right. The light steering, being electrically assisted, provides little in the way of feel and has a slightly lazy response on center. But flick the thick wheel more than a few millimeters and the car swings around faithfully, pivoting tightly around an invisible axis like the outer arm of a compass. Perched low, thanks to the massive amount of seat adjustment available, and far behind the front wheels, you feel like you're at the heart of the action, the car seemingly gnawing around the seat of your pants. The instinctive, agile way the car changes direction is immensely satisfying, and makes the C-Class, which drives cleanly if unremarkably, feel like a boat in comparison. Engaging Sport mode makes the steering heavier, but otherwise does nothing to make it less inert, although you do appreciate the extra weight when stringing together a series of corners. The brakes, however, are impressive, with a firm pedal and immense stopping power that inspires confidence. Despite featuring regenerative braking, it doesn't feel unnatural or imprecise. The suspension may not feature the 330 IS adaptive dampers, but the passive setup still provides a good balance between ride and body control. Indeed, there's a latent firmness to the ride, and you can definitely feel it over larger, sharper bumps. The trade-off, however, is that the 330e shrugs off minor surface imperfections with such ease that you wonder if they were there in the first place. It's a level of compliance that the C-Class, for all its merits, again isn't quite able to match, particularly on the larger alloy wheels. The long and short of it is that the 330e is a deeply impressive machine, mostly delivering on its promise on reducing the motor car's effect on the environment and your wallet, without sacrificing the intrinsic driving allure that characterizes the propeller badge. Drive it the way you're meant to and it can redefine what you think is possible in a car, in a way that is indeed very refreshing. Sure, there are flaws. It's not quite the best driving bread and butter 3 Series on sale today that would be the 330i, and the F30's characteristic poor refinement and subpar cabin ambience continue to rear their ugly head here. But those that can look past these issues will find a genuinely likable sports sedan with a powertrain that delivers a charm all on its own. But there's a flip side to all of this all fun no guilt goodness, and it's that to really get the most out of the 330e, you will have to live in the ideal utopia that BMW envisions you to. This, we'll admit, does include a fair few people, but also excludes plenty others. So, to the original question, is the new BMW 330e really the right car for you? That really depends on several variables, perhaps more than the average buyer is willing to put up. While the car makes you make arguably the least compromise amongst the eco-friendly vehicles out there, it's by no means hassle-free. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.